as I always say, and here we go. Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome into Morning Invest on this Friday, July 17th, the dog days of summer. My dog is sunning himself. Grover T. Dog is hanging outside. My 5-month-old mini pincher. He is my co-host here on the show. Thank you, everyone, for subscribing. This is a show all about business news and the financial world for the average person, not the Wall Street person. This is the average American. So thank you so much for subscribing. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about the stimulus, and we have a date. According to sources inside the White House, we have a date that when this thing could be signed, and we will give you that date in just a few minutes. Also, we are seeing a civil war emerging over what will go into this stimulus package. Inside the White House, there is big debate right now, opposing viewpoints. It's like, it's like Captain America Civil War. You know, on the one side, you've got Captain America. On the other side, you have Iron Man. We'll tell you who the major players are and what they want inside of the stimulus package. And I have a prediction of who is winning that debate right now. We'll tell you about that on the show and what we could see inside of the stimulus package. Also, we're going to be talking about coronavirus, some huge updates on this virus, a new one-day, single-day record in the United States, and lockdowns on the verge of happening in multiple states. Once again, we'll tell you where, in up to 19 possible states. That and more on today's show. But first, thank you so much for subscribing to the show, and I want to tell you about today's show sponsor, our friends over at Webull. They are sponsoring today's show, and they are giving you 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400. All you need to do is go to our website and go to this URL in order to get those free stocks. The stock market is exploding right now, so you get 2 free stocks just for opening an account. And then you can sit there and watch your stocks continue to rise. It's free money. You don't ever have to do anything else with the account. You can close the account and take whatever stock prices you got when they gave you the free stocks. Plus, you'll be entered into an opportunity to win additional stocks right now. They're doing that just for our audience. So we'll have a link in the description below, but you can go here right now, morrisinvest.com/Webull. Also, morninginvest.com/Webull works too. So go to either of those things. You'll download the app right on your phone, get your free stocks, and then you're off to the races. So our thanks to Webull for supporting the show. I do want to start today with some headlines, some of the big stories we're following for you this morning, and I want to start with Mary Trump. So I'm sure you probably have seen all of the hubbub over Mary Trump's book. Of course, her uncle, famous President Trump. She has, of course, fallen out with this family, most notably in recent years. She is a doctor. She has a PhD in clinical psychology. Okay, she has written multiple books around clinical psychology. She knows a thing or two about it. She was also a literature student, so I think the reason the book is doing really well right now, her brand new book just released, has sold 950,000 copies in one day. In one day. That is a brand new record. No book has ever sold that amount in one day. Take that, Da Vinci Code. So in this book, there are multiple things. It's a tell-all book. It talks about the dysfunctional nature of the family, the Trump family in general. She makes mention in the book that it's a family that only looks out for itself, is not a very loving family. She says, the book's title is Too Much and Never Enough, How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man. And she certainly portrays him in an unflattering light. The first interview she did was with George Stephanopoulos, and she says, I think the best thing that he could do for this country is to resign.
And if you're in the Oval Office today, what would you say to him?
Resign.
Boil it down. What's the single most important thing you think the country needs to know about your uncle?
He's utterly incapable of leading this country. And it's dangerous to allow him to do so.
Based on what you see now or what you saw then?
Based on what I've seen my entire adult life.
Ouch. Now, some would say she's bitter. That's been some of the criticism because she didn't get family money that she was owed, and but that's up to you. You make the determination. The book has sold 950,000 copies. Read the book, make your own determinations. The Trump administration fought hard to get it from being published. Simon & Schuster, her publisher, fought tooth and nail to get this book published. Even legal battles with the Trump administration. Ultimately, defending its First Amendment rights, it was published. So there you go, single day record for this book. How many of you are going to read this book? Let me know in the comments if you've already bought it, if you plan to read it. Some of these tell-all books are starting to pile up, right? We had the John Bolton book, now we have this book. It's being added to that tell-all pile. So not good for the Trump administration. All right, let's talk about Georgia this morning. This is a bizarre story out of Georgia. Have you been following this? I'm sure many of you, we have a lot of Georgia viewers this morning. Another headline we're looking at is that Georgia Governor Brian Kemp has filed a lawsuit in an effort to block Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms from enforcing a citywide mask mandate. So the big picture on this lawsuit comes a day after Kemp banned cities and counties from implementing mask mandates. It would void such orders. So at the gubernatorial level, it would void those orders. It would override local policies. It's so bizarre why he decided to file a lawsuit that would help you confront the surge, help us confront the surge of infections in that state. I mean, they've had an uptick in coronavirus cases in that state. So the lawsuit challenges Lance Bottoms, the Atlanta mayor, to take back Phase 1 guidelines on July 10th, forcing restaurants to close, dining rooms, other restrictions, including that new mask mandate. I mean, I guess, what does it mean to be a mayor? You have the governor just step in, file a lawsuit, say, no, you can't ask people to wear masks, even though we're seeing a surge in our city. And I can't also close restaurants because we're seeing a surge. How can I protect my people? It's bizarre. I don't get it. I don't understand the motivation for it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you support the governor's decision to file a lawsuit against a mayor who wants to put mask mandates in position? I find it bizarre. Another story we're looking at this morning is Wells Fargo. This is an interesting story. You know, they have obviously faced some sales account scandals over the past few years. The Federal Reserve has smacked their hand down pretty hard, allowing them to not keep too many things on its balance sheet because they lied about fake bank accounts. Wells Fargo did. Well, now it's going to require new customers who want to refinance their home. They have to have $1 million in the bank if you want to refinance your home. The change started at the beginning of July. So if you want to go through your Wells Fargo bank and you want to get a mortgage refinance on your home, you're not going to be able to do it unless you have $1 million in your bank account. How's that? Right. As my wife jumps in and says, only for jumbo loans. So it's $250,000 well, it would be up to those massive jumbo loans. So if you want to get one of those large homes and you want to refinance one of those large homes, you better show that you have $1 million in your bank account before Wells Fargo is going to allow you to do this. They've also had a round of layoffs. It's a wonder how long the Federal Reserve will continue to sort of smack their hand in all of this. You know, they've already had a round of layoffs. How long can they sustain this right now without having to have more layoffs and other big issues at Wells Fargo? So, and other banks have said they're not laying anybody off. So Wells Fargo has been hamstrung. Well, they made their bed. Now they have to lie in it. Another big story I'm looking at this morning. This headline has been fascinating me for months, but now we have some updates on this bizarre story out of the Midwest and Colorado into Nevada and Arizona. There's FAA documents that are now released that are looking into this mysterious drone swarm. Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, among the states out there. Now, over the past few months, December through January, many law enforcement personnel were witnessing all of these drones in the sky, large drones. And the way it's been described as one massive drone with multiple little drones that are swarming up to it and disappearing into it. U.S. senators are calling for investigations into it. The FAA had investigations into it. We didn't know what this was. Here's a look at what these drones look like in the sky. They were caught in multiple cameras. Well, now we have confirmation from the FAA and from the military that this had nothing to do with the military. The military says this is not us. We have nothing to do with it. The FAA says they don't know who it was. but massive amounts of drones all swarming around one large drone, and now we're getting word that the FBI is investigating this. But who is it? Are they UFOs? I mean, we're calling them drones at this point. We're calling them drones, but we don't know what they are. They're not U.S. military. The FAA has track flight records of all these things zipping around the sky, going back to one large main drone. It's incredibly bizarre. What do you think they are? Did you see it? Do you live in any of these states where you would have seen this swarm of drones? Let me know in the comments below. So those are the big headlines I'm looking at this morning. All right, now it is time to do a deep dive. All right, it's economic stimulus time. Let's talk about the major stories in the stimulus package this morning. Number one, we're going to be seeing a date. According to sources inside the White House, a date is likely set. We'll go into what that date is in just a moment. We're also going to be talking about the civil war that's unfolding inside the White House. Two different camps right now emerging around this stimulus. On the one side, you have Larry Kudlow, White House economic advisor. The other side, you have Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. Each of them want different things. So who will win? I'll tell you my prediction, who is looking like going to be the winner in this stimulus check battle. Plus, we're going to be talking about the Eurozone because today is the day, and I want to start there this morning. The Eurozone, this is a big story. I mean, it has international implications. What Europe does today around their stimulus. All of the leaders coming together wearing face masks. You have Macron from France, you have Angela Merkel, you have all of the members of the EU coming together to discuss this stimulus package. It'll be a $750 billion or billion euro stimulus package, about 855 billion US dollars. Like the rest of the world, the European economy has been hit hard from COVID. Looking at what's happened in Portugal and Spain and Italy, where small businesses have been struggling to stay afloat, they need this stimulus just like America needs a stimulus. They've weathered it better because at least they've been able to subsidize wages. They've been able to provide extra stimulus for its citizens. So Denmark and other areas have been able to supplant, keep this money going, keeping the economies rolling. But each member of the EU right now has unique needs in all of this. So each of them applying for different things. The EU will offer guidelines for the recovery of the funds, but not direct mandates. So they're going to be doling this money out to the different countries and how they spend it. You look at the Portuguese people who've been, a lot of people have been losing their business, houses that they've been forced out of homes because the housing prices have been too expensive. So will this money come to provide rental assistance for many people in Europe? Will it help for small businesses? Will it help for testing, contract testing and tracing? All of those things may be set, offering guidelines by the EU, but they're not going to necessarily say, hey, Spain, you have to spend the money this way. Portugal, you have to spend it this way. It'll be really up to the states, up to the countries to see how they spend it. So today is the day. There's a big vote on this today, and we'll have an update over the weekend, if there is one, on what this looks like for the international community, because the U.S. should be watching this closely. Stock markets are watching what's happening right now in the European Union, international markets, the Japanese markets, Chinese markets, all paying attention to what Europe is about to do this afternoon. So we'll be following that. Also in the stimulus news this morning, people are getting desperate. Sad stories about people now holding up banks because they had hoped to get a coronavirus check. They have not. Like this story in Houston, where a man broke into a bank, demanded money. He actually wrote a letter and handed it to the teller, says, I didn't get a stimulus check, so please give me money. I've lost my business. I'm going to lose my house. I need this money. I mean, this is desperation of the highest order, and we're going to see more of it. We're going to see more of this in the next few days, folks, as people become even more desperate. I've seen people here in the chat telling me they lost their car, they've lost their business, they've lost their home. Somebody wrote in my chat this morning that they're sleeping in a car. I mean, this is what happens when people don't get access to these stimulus funds right now. Businesses are doing just fine because the Federal Reserve has shored them up. So that's why there's this battle emerging right now, a civil war inside the White House over this stimulus package. Now, Charlie Gasparino, who has good sources inside the White House, has been longtime friends with Larry Kudlow, is reporting now that there's two camps emerging inside the White House, that Larry Kudlow wants lower taxes. He's been pushing for this since the Reagan administration. Payroll tax cut, payroll tax cut. He believes that that will be the buoy that America needs right now. But that only helps those people that get a paycheck. What about the people who do not have a paycheck? I mean, that's the great question. So on the other side then is Steven Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, who's pushing for an additional round of stimulus checks, as well as a list of other items right now. And it seems to me that Steven Mnuchin's position is more favorable in the eyes of the Trump administration right now because he has the support of Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, her husband, who has the president's ear in all of this. Here's Charles Gasparino on this coming civil war and where these two camps are camped out. Listen.
Dollar check. He wants to still give that to people, those stimulus checks, wind them down over the course of the year, but still give them. Kudlow, on the other hand, doesn't want that. Kudlow wants a big, fat payroll tax cut, and that's where the battle lines are being drawn. Kudlow's supporters are mainly in the Senate. Tom Cotton, from what I understand, the senator from Missouri, from Arkansas, conservative, definitely wants a payroll tax cut. Maybe Mitch McConnell does as well. But on the other hand, Mnuchin has on his side Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, and maybe even the president, who is starting to talk more about these stimulus checks. So that's where the battle lines are being drawn. It's unclear who's going to win right now, other than you've got to give the advantage to Mnuchin, given where the winds are blowing. And the bottom line is this. A lot of people who support this stimulus package say, if we're going to get anything through, we're not going to get through a payroll tax cut because Nancy Pelosi will not approve a payroll tax cut and give Donald Trump a pre-election victory. So
yeah, that's the big part right there. So the reason that Steven Mnuchin has perhaps more support right now, I mean, again, mentioned Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, but the stimulus checks right now, I mean, we're at this deadline where unemployment benefits are running out. Eviction moratorium is about to be lifted. You're going to have a flood of foreclosures, a flood of evictions. You're going to have people that are unable to, pay for groceries, basic necessities, and on top of that, we'll get to in our coronavirus update, you have states that are about to head back into lockdown again. Governors issuing orders saying basically, this is it. This is the last chance. You better start wearing masks, everyone, or we're heading into a world of trouble right now unless we get this taken care of. So major issues there. But so Steven Mnuchin with his stimulus check part, you also have that he wants to have a payroll tax cut on the Larry Kudlow side. But these people say pushing for a payroll tax cut right now is going to be very difficult to push through. Because Nancy Pelosi will not want it. And frankly, a lot of Republicans don't want a payroll tax cut as well as part of this stimulus package. Again, the country is bleeding money, and revenue comes from taxes, from payroll taxes. So now you're going to cut it even further? We already cut it in 2016 under the Trump tax cuts. You're going to cut it again? Taking another round of payroll taxes, taking money from the coffers of the United States government, the Treasury? We can't afford it. I don't know where they're going to be able to pay for basic services and other things. We have to go into government shutdowns regularly just to keep the lights on. So the winds of this are pushing towards a Mnuchin plan that would include, some of the things that he's been pushing for, even an extension of or a workaround for this unemployment benefits. He's been pushing for maybe the $200 to $300 unemployment benefits, as well as direct stimulus checks. The bottom line is we need these stimulus checks. We need them now. And that's good because guess what? We have a date. According to sources inside the White House, a date when we could see a vote on this bill, it could come as early as next Friday. That means they're back to work on Monday. We could have this bill ironed out by Friday. Interestingly, lobbyists on K Street normally would have information, leaked information about a potential bill. Now, we know some high-level things that are likely to be in this bill, right? The liability protection from Mitch McConnell, some of the other things. But what we don't have is the granular stuff right now. And interestingly, on K Street, the K Street in Washington, D.C. is where all the lobbying firms are. They don't have any information. They have not gotten any leaks about the stimulus. They don't know the granularity of this thing. And Mitch McConnell, apparently, according to committee members, has kept this thing quiet, totally under wraps. He didn't want any of his committee members leaking this information. And the way that this works, for those of you who are curious, is that this is being bandied about inside of a committee right now. Each member of the committee, apparently, he wants totally unified on this. He doesn't want any dissent on this bill. Everyone on the committee needs to be unified. And then once those committee members decide on certain provisions in the bill, they then take it to the broader Senate. to their broader Republican Senate and have discussions about that bill that way. But they want unity in this, so when it comes out of the Senate, they're not dissenting voices on the Republican side. Of course, you're going to have dissenting voices from the Democrats. We've already seen Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Ed Markey, Cory Booker, and others, Senator Schumer, pushing for different things, extension of the $600 per week unemployment benefits. You've seen Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, and Ed Markey calling for that $2,000 per month in a stimulus plan. So they're going to probably be very angry and upset with anything that comes out of the Republican committee. There are also some rumors about the size of this, that this likely will be larger than the $40,000 adjusted gross income cap that we've been hearing about. Mitch McConnell mentioned that at his press conference last week, that he was going to start the negotiations at about $40,000. You know, experts agree that this thing will likely come out of the Senate larger than $40,000. Now, will it be as high as it was before under the first CARES Act at $75,000? Don't count your chickens, I don't know. But the Democrats wanted $90,000 under the HEROES Act. So maybe it'll be somewhere in between that, but it likely will not be as low as $40,000. So again, the bill, the scaffolding of this bill will likely be presented on Monday. I'm hoping that there will be something in there for state and local governments. I'm hoping that there will be another round of stimulus checks for you in this bill. I hope that there will be some form of rental assistance for renters who are about to lose their homes. I also hope that there will be some adjustment to this unemployment benefits, which are set to run out. So those are some of my big wish list pieces right now. And I would love to see some sort of student loan forgiveness in this whole thing as well. But you know, I'm not holding my breath on that. And then by Friday, according to members of the White House, we could see a vote on this by Friday of next week. That would give it time to get to the president's desk before the August recess, signed, sealed, delivered. Why? Well, look, President Trump is hurting right now. And according to a new poll out this morning, only 34% of Americans, this is according to an ABC News Washington Post poll, only 34% of Americans think that the president is handling the pandemic well. The other amount think that he's been a total disaster on this thing. Only 34% of Americans think he's doing a great job on the pandemic. By the way, who are those 34 people? 34%. You know, every time there's a poll like this, you're always going to have those people who will die on the sword for a candidate. Their politics, their political dogma is always so ingrained. So we always joked, you know, Governor Huckabee and others would always say, you know, you're always going to have that 32%. They'd take a bullet for you no matter what. So I guess it's those people that think he's been handling this excellently. You have a lot of governors, though, that disagree, and a lot of people that disagree. So let me know your thoughts on that. That is the very latest on the stimulus update today. Smash that like button and please subscribe. We have a date, folks. Let's see if we hit that next Friday date for an actual vote on this bill so it can go to the president's desk. Now let's see if Democrats get what they want. I mean, that's 5 days of negotiations. Will Democrats actually, I mean, I'd be surprised if there is not a lot more horse trading than 5 days. I mean, think about all of the things that are on this list that they have to tackle. Liability protection, payroll tax cuts, unemployment benefits, direct stimulus checks. I mean, the list, you know, state and local government money, the list goes on and on, maybe an extension of the PPP program. You're going to hash all of that out in 5 days? According to White House sources, yes. The goal is to get this done as quickly as possible because President Trump's poll numbers are really, really low. And they are fighting for re-election. So that's the very latest on that. What does Grover think about this? Grover think about the stimulus? We're going to talk about the coronavirus updates here in a minute. He's really thrilled about that. He's thrilled about this. He's getting a little drink of water. We've got a lot to get to in the coronavirus world. Checking this. Phyllis Poff said, those 34% are the people that are on my Facebook page that always post racist memes. Yeah. Yeah, we have relatives like that. Yeah. Grover, what do you think about racism? No, he can't stand racist. He can't stand racism. He can't stand it. He'll put his paw over his eyes about racism. Steve Hamill is asking, he has a GoFundMe set up. He recently lost his fiance. He's here in our chat. Steve, I'll put, if you want to send me your GoFundMe, I'll put it in the description for you. I'm not able to do that beyond today. I hope you understand that, but we'll put it in the description of the video. Trying to pay for a funeral for his fiance who passed away. He's also been homeless and living in a car right now. So Steve, yes, I will do that for you, okay? So thank you so much. All right, let's talk about coronavirus right now and give you some updates on that. All right, it's time for your coronavirus update as a part of the show. Let's deep dive the latest numbers on that. And we're watching some breaking news right now on the number of infections. In the past 24 hours, we've seen 77,217 new cases. Did you hear me? I mean, we were talking about $50,000 number just the other day. Now we're seeing a 77,217 infections in just 24 hours in the United States. Dr. Fauci was being interviewed yesterday. He had a couple of different interviews yesterday. He was on an interview with Mark Zuckerberg, actually, in this like town hall meeting, and he said that he thinks the president has handled this. Mark Zuckerberg slammed the president, said that he's handled this very poorly. He also was asked about young people. And interestingly, the young people question in all of this is perhaps the most important. Dr. Fauci is basically saying now that young people are to blame for the spread of this thing. So let's listen to Dr. Fauci from yesterday during this town hall Zoom meeting.
That isn't there?
Well, there's a big problem with that, Francis. First of all, you're right. The average age of people getting infected now is a decade and a half younger than what it was a few months ago, particularly when New York and New Orleans and Chicago were getting hit very badly. That's the first thing. The second thing that we're trying to get the messaging across, young people should not feel that they're invulnerable to serious consequences. The more we learn about this disease, Francis, the more we realize that many young people may not necessarily get sick enough to go to the hospital, but they can get very sick, put them out of action for weeks at a time. The other thing is they should not think that even if they get infected and they have no symptoms at all, that they are in a vacuum. They're not, because by getting infected, they are propagating the outbreak, because inadvertently or innocently, they could infect someone who'd infect someone, and then all of a sudden someone's grandmother, grandfather, or aunt who's getting chemotherapy for breast cancer gets infected. So although you think you're isolated in a vacuum, you're not. You're part of the propagation of the pandemic. So it's your responsibility to yourself as well as to society to avoid infection. That's a message. I know it's difficult to get out to young people, but they really need to understand that.
You know, some people here in the chat saying, don't just blame young people. I see people of all ages out without masks in different states. And right now you have governors saying, we are on the precipice, that unless we can get everyone wearing masks in our state right now, we are going to have to go back under lockdown. Texas is overwhelmed. Texas has smashed a new record. They hit the highest there since the outbreak. They're scrambling right now. They had 10,000 new cases, along with a new record of deaths in Texas. 35 deaths that officials on the Texas-Mexico border said happened Wednesday morning in Hidalgo County. That's more than twice the number that's been reported in Harris County. And they're wondering whether or not they're going to have to right now go back, lock back down again. He said, you know, if we were to shut down for 2 weeks, Abbott says, as some people are asking, once we open back up, would you see things begin to spread again? Until there are medications to slow the spread of the coronavirus, there's only one thing we can do right now. They have to wear face guards or some sort of mask when they go out. So these governors that don't want to go back under lockdown, threatening lockdown, unless people get their act together and start to put on masks again. Florida also is a major problem. Florida, of course, is the epicenter of this right now, where you have the biggest one-day increase in coronavirus cases in Florida. They had 13,000 new cases on Thursday. That brings the state's outbreak to over 315,000. And they have deaths rose as well. 4,782 deaths. So hospitalizations are going crazy. And of course, Miami is the epicenter right now of this disease. Hospitals saying they're just overwhelmed. Next 2 weeks in California are critical. According to Governor Gavin Newsom, will they go into a further lockdown? They've already restricted dining, bars, saloons. I meant salons. Are there any saloons anymore? The double door saloons like in the Wild West. I want to open a saloon. Can we go to a saloon? I love the idea of a person playing piano and I order a whiskey at a saloon. So they don't have air conditioning? Oh yeah. See, yeah, they don't have air conditioning. I wouldn't want to go to one of those. Also, air conditioning is a part of the coronavirus problem. According to new reports, AC could cause the spread inside buildings without proper filtration. Don't take away my air conditioning right now. 130 degrees in Death Valley would smash records. Phoenix at an all-time high. This heat wave in the United States is not relenting anytime soon. So air conditioning is now a problem. Please give me some good news. But California officials are facing some big problems right now. They've closed bars, restaurants, dining in 19 counties. That's 72% of the state's population is affected by these lockdowns. They say they're going to say it's going to take about 3 weeks to learn whether or not this new round of lockdown worked. I don't know. What do you think? Can you blame young people for the spread of this? People who think they're not vulnerable to this, they go out to the beaches, they go out to bars, they're not wearing masks, they're on top of each other. Utah this was one of the most ridiculous things I saw yesterday. It was in Utah. Did you see this? Where there was a meeting in Utah about masks. They had a meeting about masks. And everyone at the meeting was sitting right on top of each other in this small committee room. Everyone was sitting there next to each other like this with no mask on. And so the meeting was canceled because people didn't bring masks. Only in America. Hey, honey, I'm going to go down to the city hall tonight for a mask meeting and not bring my mask. Unbelievable. 72 NFL players have now tested positive for coronavirus. There's an NBA virus hotline where if you work for the NBA, you're an NBA player, you're able to call this hotline to report. Basically, you're snitching, letting people know that you think that this person has coronavirus. A lot of big stars are deciding to sit out this Major League Baseball season. They're saying, hey, this is my career. Others have no choice but to play because they need that money. A lot of Major League Baseball players, certainly rookies and at the lower level, don't make a lot of money. I've known a lot of minor league players that, the salary is not that good. It's barely above what you'd get starting at I don't know, like at a law firm as like a clerk or something. You're not making a lot of money. So a lot of big stars like Mike Trout and others saying, you know what, we think we're going to sit out this season because it's just not worth it. And also, I'm not sure I really care about Major League Baseball having a half season. To me, the whole point of playing baseball is you play those 162 games. What team can make it through? Start in April, go through the dog days of summer, right? Those difficult summer months. You have the All-Star break. Who's up? Who's down? Who's gotten injured? That fight for 162 games to make it through to the World Series. You're going to play, 80 games, 60 games? Then if you win the World Series, you're always going to have like a little asterisk by your victory, right? It's like, oh, you won that year? You won 2020? Good for you. Golf clap. In my luck, my Philadelphia Phillies would win this year, and that would always have a little asterisk next to their victory. So I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want. I want to watch some baseball, but I don't want my team competing to see who's going to win and then have that little asterisk next to it. So right now, these nursing homes also dealing with these lockdowns. Very long days at these lockdowns for these nursing homes. You know, not being able to leave their rooms. It's incredibly quiet. They're basically saying at a lot of different nursing homes, life is just like frozen. I mean, just imagine just an elderly person, an elderly grandma, an elderly grandfather who can't see their grandkids. There's nobody getting together playing bingo. There's nobody in the community center. There's nobody in the gathering areas together. They're all just staying in their room all day. It's incredibly sad. But those have been the areas that have been hit the hardest. So it's these precautions. They're taking place, and really important that they take place. But it's so sad. Let's see if I can pull up a video here of one of the things I just felt really, really sad, where those families are showing up to these nursing homes and holding birthday parties outside of the window for their elderly grandfather, their elderly grandmother, so that they can see their grandkids just through the window out in the parking lot. So sad. I'm not able to get that video, but just having to lift the little child up to the window, say hi, grandma, and it's like going to prison almost. So America hitting its single day worst record, 77,000 coronavirus cases in one day. And the epicenter across the United States, the epicenter for this is in Florida. And we also bring up the most recent map so we can see where the cases are across the country. And you can see the outbreaks. In brown are, of course, the worst. And dark brown is the worst of the worst. But when you have an entire region without any real gaps in it, that's all brown. Remember, almost the whole middle part of the country was blue just a few weeks ago, meaning they had, flattened this thing out. We've completely gone backwards. One of the members of our community who watches our show says that they just lost their they lost their brother to coronavirus. So my heart goes out to you. Someone says Bob Barker has to stay inside and watch The Price is Right. Bob was a friend. Bob was a really nice, I wouldn't say a friend, but he used to watch my show every day, and I got a chance to meet Bob. Super nice guy. And he said, I watch your show every day. And I said, Bob Barker, you watch my show every day? I used to, growing up in the summers, when I was home from school, I'd be watching The Price is Right in the air conditioning because it was too stinking hot to go outside. I'd watch you guys play Plinko. Look at these cases across the country. Illinois, Indiana, up. Michigan, up. Wisconsin, up. Minnesota, up. Washington State back up again. Oregon. California still up at 7% and could potentially get worse. We'll see what they do with that lockdown. But, it's not good enough. So if California goes under lockdown and the rest of the country doesn't, so California goes under lockdown, but then Arizona doesn't or Nevada doesn't, and then what does it matter? It's not like we have restricted borders. People carrying this stuff across borders between states, traveling. If you're a country, you can close your borders, like many countries did. And we're able to turn the tide. Australia, and, United States, for instance. But we couldn't stop it in our own country because we didn't put a national mandate in place, and we punted it down to the state level. So I'm not surprised that there's this new poll out today asking people, this new ABC News Washington Post poll, asking Americans, how well do you think the president has handled this pandemic? And only 34% said he's handled it well. An overwhelming number say that he's handled it poorly. That's not good news. So that's the very latest on the coronavirus. These are the coronavirus numbers this morning. Let me know what state you're in and how your state's handling it. Let me know in the comments below. I read every one of your comments, so please, tell me what you're going through. Tell me what your state looks like. Do you know anyone that's been infected? What does this mean for your job, your employment? Tell me. I want to read it. And I'll share your stories here on the show as well. And bring your stories to our community because I think it's helpful. So thank you guys so much for joining us on the show today. And reminder, everyone, if you want those 2 free stocks, our show today is brought to you by Webull. You can get free money right now just by opening an account, totally free. Open the account. You have to use this link though to get the free money. Okay, morrisinvest.com/Webull, or you can also go to morninginvest.com/Webull. We have a link to it in the description below. And you get those 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400. And they're doing some things for our audience only right now. I spoke to them earlier this week. You're going to be getting some bonuses. They're going to be doing some additional bonuses just for our audience. So you get the free stocks, hold on to them if you want to, let them go up in value, or sell them off and take that cash and put it in your bank account. Now, the first stock that you get is valued at anywhere between $2 and $50, and the next one can be valued up to $1,400. So it's different for each one. If you have any issues with it, just reach out to their customer service and ask them, because right there on their website, it shows you exactly the value of the stocks that you could potentially get. So take advantage of that. And also, thank you so much for subscribing to our newsletter. Our newsletter is going out today. We finally got some software issues fixed. I'm super excited about it. We put a lot of work into it, into the newsletter. So please subscribe. Just go to morninginvest.com and just click subscribe. And it's totally free. Just put in your email address and then check your inbox for that email. You should have received it already. Did you receive yours? Did you get it in your inbox? No. I'm asking my wife because the newsletter went out this morning. So I want everyone, if you sign up right now, check your inbox. Do you have access to your email right now? We have 6,000 of you right now. If you subscribe to the newsletter, check your inbox because we send out a welcome email right away. It might be in your spam or your junk folder, or if you're using Gmail, it might have gone to that promotions folder. They have this promotions folder for newsletters. Take it from there, drag it to your inbox so you won't ever miss it again, okay? But check it because today's newsletter just went out and we put a lot of work into it. It takes you like 5 minutes to read it, some of the big stories of the day in the business world that I'm following for you, personal finance. We have stimulus updates in there as well. So really powerful stuff. You got it. So Joseph Johnson said you got today's email. Awesome. Yolanda, you got it as well? Yes, I got it today. Janet Milner, great. Someone says, not even his wife received the email. Maybe she's not a subscriber. Are you a subscriber? She gave me a thumbs up. Did you get it? She doesn't see it. Check your spam. Everyone says they got it. You got mine. All right, you guys got mine. Prayers for everyone. Tim, you didn't get it yet. You got yours instantly. Okay. You got the newsletter today. It should be the Friday newsletter. Hey, someone asked about silver. What about buying silver? You know, I'm a big fan of buying precious metals, gold and silver in this economy right now. You know, we should have on a silver expert on the show. I'd love to have someone here on the show. It's a good idea for a guest here on the show. William Quackenbush, thank you for your super chat today. William says, excuses. It shows as a country how we've fallen away from God. I've been homeless, living in a tent in my van. I'd never rob anyone. I'm not wealthy, but my trust is in the Lord, not the government. This shows the heart of a man. William, I think, is referring to this story we did on the show where this guy didn't get a stimulus check and he robbed a bank. He goes in and says, I didn't get a stimulus check, and he pulls out a note, hands it to the teller, says, I didn't get my check. I lost my business. So he's holding up a bank. Not good. But look, this is going to happen. This is going to happen when people are homeless, have no money to pay for groceries. You have stories of people going into grocery stores and stealing food for babies, for their babies. Awful. Okay, so a lot of you are, so when the newsletter goes out, it gets sent out in batches. So all you need to do, again, subscribe to the newsletter. You should get today's newsletter. We'll send it out. If you just subscribe today, I'll make sure we send out any new subscribers so you get today's newsletter maybe a little bit later, okay? I'll make sure that our team sends it out to you. So thank you. Now, police are looking for this guy. They're still trying to find him. The police are trying to find him. Houston Police Department is still looking for this guy who robbed the bank. because he didn't get his stimulus check. Of course, we heard all the stimulus scams, people stealing from people, going into people's mailboxes and stealing them out of the mailboxes. Darlene Ernst. So if anyone signs up for the newsletter and it goes into your spam or your junk folder or your promotions folder, it's very important that you just drag the email into your inbox. That way it'll never happen again. And it lets your Yahoo, your Hotmail, your Gmail, lets them know that, hey, it's from Morning Invest and you want to see it. Also, I should mention importantly, you can add, if you want to add as our contact, the email address that it's sent from is team, T-E-A-M, team at morninginvest.com. So when that email, if you have that saved to your contacts list, then you won't have to worry about it going to spam or anything. It'll just, because it's in your contacts, your email contacts, you'll get it automatically. Email's a pain in the butt these days. So, but hopefully if you subscribe, okay. Annalie says, I signed up twice, didn't receive it with 2 different email addresses. Okay, Annalie, I will check in our database to see if we can find it. Thank you so much for your super chats. Nigel King says, good morning, you're the GOAT. Thanks, I really appreciate that, Nigel. Tell that to my wife. Thank you, Annalie. I will check for you, make sure you get it. John Shanks, thank you so much for your super chat. Good morning from Maryland. I have $54,000 in student loan debt for a degree that I cannot find a job in, mainly now with this virus. John, what's your degree in? Yeah, I mean, think about how many kids are going to be graduating right now with a degree that they can't use. And they're having to pay student loan debt back. So they can't get a job and they're having to start to pay their student loan debt, their student loans back. Awful. Where's the Grovester? Can he come over into his bed? There he is. Hey, buddy. There he is. There's Grover. Come on, buddy. Come back. Ah, almost. Oh, where's he running to? No, he thinks you're going to steal that. He's got a little chew toy today. He's back over here in the corner. We gave him a little chewy thing. There he goes. Man, this floor is messy. Our kids, there he is. He's hiding under the... There he is. What do you got there, buddy? He's got a little swizzle stick that he's chewing on. Yeah, yeah. So he's wearing his little cone pillow to protect him. Because he had a little procedure done the other day. His little UFO pillow. He slept with me last night. I woke up this morning and I was like, what? He was literally snuggled up, like right under my arm. He was like right here, like just with his head rested here, asleep on me. It was the sweetest little thing. And he'll sleep for like 8 hours straight through. Good doggy. Good little boy. Florida needs to lock down again. What did John say? Did John write about what his... Yeah, he is cutie. He's shy. No, I think that she was coming up to him because he had that little swizzle stick, so he thought we were going to steal it from him. The UFO of shame. That's what it is. Christine Marlowe says, I work in Mellow Mash. Thank you so much. Says, I should run for president. Ooh. Thank you for that. I don't know. I would see these gray hairs that I already have. It would take years off my life. We have a new channel member, Tammy Reyes. Thank you so much for joining our channel. Will we get another stimulus check? I don't know the answer to that. So some people were asking for a recap. Do you want me to do a little recap of the stimulus? Let me know in the chat if you want a recap. I will do that for you on this Friday. Grover, do you want a recap? Yes, he does. He wants a recap. Just let me know in the chat if you want a recap. Actually, do me a favor. In the chat, give me a, if you'd be so kind, to give me a like this video. All you need to do is underneath the video, there's a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We have 2,000 likes on today's video. Can we get it up to 6,000 and I'll do a recap? There's 5,000 of you watching right now. Can you smash that like button? We have 2.2 thousand likes right now. I will do a recap. I'll do the 5-minute recap for you. How about that? Yeah, Georgia is not mandating masks. I just saw someone say that's right. They're not, because Georgia's governor is suing Atlanta's mayor to block the city mask mandate. And Georgia does not want statewide mandate of masks. I don't get it. I don't understand that. Grover, do you understand that? So we're at 2.5 thousand likes right now on the video. Smash that like button, Diva Hotsy. Thank you so much. Recap, I already did it. Thank you, Teresa Fountain. I just did. Christopher Brown is now a channel member. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. 45th president has got to go, says Shabi. Sherry Dixon says neither is Missouri. Sherry, did you get my Instagram message? I was not offended. The other day, I think Sherry was the one that said this. She said, don't touch your face. So I was just like itching my face. And she said, I hope you weren't offended. I said, I wasn't offended. And then I was just joking around about it. It's hard, you know, I get a scruffy face here. I got the IFB, then I can hear my sound bites in my ear. So I'm not offended at all. Stephanie Sherrill says there are 5,000 people watching, but do they all like you? That's a great question. I don't know. Maybe you don't. But we do this show for you. I put a lot of work into it, so I hope. What's up with Grover's mask? Oh, that's not a mask. He had a little procedure. And you know those cones that you wear, or not that you wear, but cones that dogs wear? Like, you never see the movie Up, the Pixar movie, The Cone of Shame? Where it's like a plastic cone, so they can't scratch themselves. So he had a little procedure done, and we don't want him scratching that area because it could get bloody and could hurt him. So this is like a little pillow. I've never even known, we didn't even know that they made these. My wife found this at the pet store, and they have different sizes for different dogs, and this is like padded. It's like a little pillow. I said, I want one of these. I want one of these just to walk around the house with, so I can just take a nap like on a park bench. You know, I can just. What's that?
I'll make you wear the cone.
I'll wear the cone. But I think about how awesome that would be. You could just go to a park bench with one of these padded neck pillows on, and just. It's like what airlines? Yeah, it's like what would you wear on an airline flight? All right, we're waiting on likes here, so we're at 2,000. We're almost at 3,000 likes. All of you watching right now, just please smash that like button. It's underneath the video. You'll see a little up or down thumb. Just smash that, and I promise you, I will do a recap. I want to get over 5,000 likes if we can. It'd be super awesome. Oh, my wife wants to. You want to come say hi?
No.
She doesn't want to say hi. Why? Because you're in workout clothes?
Yeah.
You still look beautiful. Get over here. Say hi. Come on. Come say hi. Wimp. I'm waiting on Monique Francis. Thank you for your super chat. Can you do a Weeble instructional video? I'm lost. It should be pretty darn easy to do it, but yes, I could put together a little Weeble instructional video. It's very simple to get those 2 free stocks. You just have to go on your smartphone or on your desktop, it doesn't matter, your tablet. You just go to that web address and it'll say sign up now. You click into it, and because it's a stock account, they're going to want to verify that you're a real person. You know, it's like opening a bank account. So they need to put a few layers of security to make sure that everything is good to go. And that's about it. But I should do a. Thank you, Alicia Trigg, for your like. Stacy, yes. See, Stacy says, "Oh, tell your wife to come say hi. Come say hi." Yes. Oh, she's coming to say hi. You look lovely. Get over here.
Hello.
See? She has workout clothes on, but doesn't she look lovely?
I do have workout clothes on.
Do you watch the show?
I do. I keep it running. I hear it like.
My microphone's here.
Oh, I hear it in real time from the other room.
Yeah.
And then I get some texts where he says, "Tell Ava to shut up."
I didn't say shut up.
Tell Ava to be quiet.
Because I hear him yelling or
because
kids. Yeah.
don't slam the door. So, but yes, I watch the show and I work behind the scenes.
Yes. She's a good worker behind the scenes.
I'm like a bouncer.
Right.
I'm a bouncer in this house.
She is.
Don't go bother
But you're
me.
not a very good bouncer.
I'm out.
You're like a sweet bouncer. Sometimes she'll be like, shh, but after, she was listening to an audiobook today when I started the show. It was so loud, it was like there were speakers like playing this audiobook booming through the room, and I'm like, can you maybe turn that down just a smidge right now? Yes, my wife is, she is beautiful. Her name is Natalie, by the way. But it's spelled very oddly. There's no E at the end of it. Future president's wife. She keeps me in my place. What did you say there? What was the question about? Okay. Yes, I did trade up.
She looks like a kid.
She looks like a kid. She's actually 10 years older than me. No, she's not.
That's not true.
No. We're actually only 2 years apart, right?
Yeah.
I'm 18, she's 16.
I haven't even washed my face. That's no makeup.
She says, I haven't even washed my face today after I worked out. She said, that's a no makeup camera day. All right, well, I guess we're not going to get the 5,000 likes that I wanted, but I will do it anyway. You can at least subscribe to the channel. All right, we'll do a recap here of the stimulus. Let me got my notes up here if I can. All right. Let me reset this audio here. I'll just check this real quick.
Wants to keep an extent is, and for we understand.
Okay. Sorry, I just got to get my audio back here. I want to make sure that that's good to go. Okay. Robbing the cradle. No, we're only 2 years apart. She looks good for 72, doesn't she? She does. It's because she works out every day. You ready for a little stimulus update, Grover? He loves this thing. Yes, he does. See, that UFO doesn't even get in the way. He can still chow down. If I was using his two little paws like hands. Oh, man. My wife says as I'm sitting there at night while we're watching a show or something and I'm petting his head and just staring at him, she's like, you're such a sucker for this dog. I know I am. Wouldn't you be? There's one floppy ear. All right, let's do it. All right, it's time for another stimulus update. We're going to do a recap in under 6 minutes, if we can, for what's going on in the stimulus world. So we have a civil war emerging right now in the White House. Two major camps emerging as to what goes into the stimulus bill. Who are the people at either side of this boxing ring right now? Well, according to reports, it's on the one side, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, who wants a certain set of things in the stimulus bill, which differs from what White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow wants in the stimulus package. Larry Kudlow, on the one hand, has been pushing for lower taxes for years. You know, he's a Reagan guy. He's been pushing for low taxes for years, even during his days on CNBC and beyond. He's wanted a payroll tax cut. Well, he got a payroll tax cut in 2016, but he wants another one. So his big piece of this is a payroll tax cut. He does not want direct checks to the American people. He has waffled on that point a number of times, but he does want a payroll tax cut, which is probably not going to happen because Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats don't want it. And frankly, a lot of Republicans don't want a payroll tax cut because, look, that's how the government makes money. Government makes money from payroll taxes. And so when you slash the payroll budget, when you slash that, the government's not able to raise money, and they've been bleeding capital right now. How are they going to pay for everything that they want? Federal employees, a defense budget, Social Security, Medicaid, all of these things. How are you going to pay for it all? Maybe this is the way. I've always felt that this might be a Trojan horse on the part of Republicans to push this Trojan horse into the fort, basically saying we want payroll tax cuts, but it also helps eliminate Social Security, which they hate, and also eliminates health care, eliminates Medicaid and these other big programs, because we don't have the money. We don't have no money anymore. Why don't we have money? That's because you offered a payroll tax cut that slashed the revenue from the government. So of course you can't pay for any of these things. I believe that this is a Trojan horse. You know, I've been around politics for long enough, and politicians to not be skeptical about this, of course. So that's one position on this. The other battle, the other Civil War part that's emerging is from Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, who wants, among other things, an extension of unemployment benefits or a moderation of those unemployment benefits so they don't expire. He also wants direct stimulus checks. And this seems most likely, folks. Why? Well, because he has the backing of Ivanka, you know, who likes Goya beans, and Jared Kushner, her husband. So when you have their ears, they also have the ears of the president. This is the one that is likely to pass, or is likely to have the most support coming out of the White House. Support for direct stimulus checks. So when someone just asked here in the chat today, will we see additional stimulus checks? I believe it's likely. And I also believe the ceiling will be increased. Now, we're hearing from Mitch McConnell that it will be around $40,000 adjusted gross income if you make $40,000 and below, that you would qualify for a stimulus check. Democrats are going to say no way to that. Under their recently passed HEROES Act, it was over $90,000. And the CARES Act was at $75,000. Why drop it to $40,000 all of a sudden? You don't think people who make $50,000 a year lost their jobs and need a stimulus check right now? Of course they do. It's ridiculous. So I believe that number will go up. According to sources, that number will go up beyond $40,000, which is good news. But will it go as high as the CARES Act or the HEROES Act? You know, who knows? It's anybody's guess at this point. But this Mnuchin part of this deal looks like it will likely pass. Direct checks and some sort of a tweak to the unemployment benefits, which are set to run out in the next week. This is going to be a disaster at the end of July if these unemployment benefits are not fixed. Why? Because 19 states are on the verge of having to go into a lockdown again. And guess what we learned? The White House has a secret dossier. Secret documents were leaked out to the press. Imagine that. They did not want this out there. Secret White House documents released in breaking news just a short time ago, showing that the White House has identified 19 states as coronavirus hotspots. They've labeled them red zone states. Red zone. You can just look at the map if you want to take your pick of which ones you think they are. Well, I'm going to give you some hints. It's all the ones in brown for sure. Texas, Florida, coronavirus hotspots that are in red and causing major problems. But the White House is not admitting this. They don't want this document out there. Unfortunately, it leaked to the press. They got their hands on this thing. And so if we have to go back into lockdown once again, millions of people are going to need a stimulus check to pay their bills, to pay their mortgages. Evictions and foreclosures also on the table right now, as a wave of these are going to unfold over the next few weeks. Will there in this next package have eviction moratoriums, rental assistance, mortgage assistance, a whole host of things that would help people that are about to be crushed over the next few weeks? Unemployment benefits, all of those things. They need to debate these things within 5 days. They're back on Monday. And we are likely now hearing, we will hear a date that this is going to be, the bill, we could have a vote on this bill as early as Friday, according to White House sources. So we could have a vote on this bill as early as next Friday. That means they'd be introducing this on Monday to the committee, going back and forth in the Senate, debating parts of this bill, releasing it to the broader Senate, having it voted on by Friday, and possibly on the president's desk as early as next week or at the beginning over the weekend. That would be shocking. So again, there are two camps emerging in this battle right now inside the White House. And here are some greater details from Charles Gasparino. He broke this story. He has some great sources inside the White House. Here's what he has to say about this coming civil war over the stimulus package.
And he and Mnuchin are at odds over the stimulus. Mnuchin wants to keep and extend the unemployment insurance plus that $600 check. He wants to still give that to people, those stimulus checks, wind them down over the course of the year, but still give them. Kudlow, on the other hand, doesn't want that. Kudlow wants a big, fat payroll tax cut, and that's where the battle lines are being drawn. Kudlow's supporters are mainly in the Senate. Tom Cotton, from what I understand, the senator from Missouri, from Arkansas, conservative, definitely wants a payroll tax cut. Maybe Mitch McConnell does as well. But on the other hand, Mnuchin has on his side Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, and maybe even the president, who is starting to talk more about these stimulus checks. So that's where the battle lines are being drawn. It's unclear who's going to win right now, other than you've got to give the advantage to Mnuchin, given where the winds are blowing. And the bottom line is this. A lot of people who support this stimulus package say, if we're going to get anything through, we're not going to get through a payroll tax cut because Nancy Pelosi will not approve a payroll tax cut and give Donald Trump a pre-election victory. So
Yeah. And that's the bottom line. Again, Republicans are not in favor of a payroll tax cut, and neither are Democrats. Again, these are where the battle lines are drawn right now, and we will see on Monday, folks, the first signs of what this bill will look like. And I have to say, another big story about this is that we have not got any leaks about this. What do I mean? Well, K Street in Washington, D.C., if you've ever been to Washington, D.C., K Street is the famous street where all the lobbying firms are. So when you say all the guys on K Street, all the lobbyists on K Street, they don't know anything that's in this bill. It's been kept from them, totally quiet. Mitch McConnell has kept this thing under wraps, quiet and secret. We don't know the granularity of this thing at all. He's done an amazing job of keeping it. It's like Apple. You know, it's like Apple trying to keep iPhone news under wraps so you don't know what's happening with it. So they've done an amazing job. We don't know beyond some of the bigger pieces, liability protection and others, what this will look like. But we do not know the finer details. And this thing, we will see hopefully on Monday what this will look like as committee members start to debate this. Democrats go back and forth with Republicans in the Senate. And then they know they have to get something that Nancy Pelosi will pass. Democrats need to be on board for them to pass this, or it's going to be dead. They're going to send it over to her, and she's going to say, sorry, this doesn't do anything. This is dead on arrival. So that's the very latest on the stimulus, my friends. Thank you for liking this video. I see we got up to 4,000 likes almost on this video. So thank you so much for smashing that like button. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. And if you want our daily newsletter delivered right to your inbox every day, it's totally free. It's our Morning Invest newsletter. We put a lot of work into it. It'll take you about 5 minutes to read 4 or 5 of the biggest stories of the day. Plus we have some fun. Plus Grover, my dog, he's starting his new column. He's writing Grover's Corner, which is a part of the newsletter. He's my 5-month-old mini pincher. He just had a procedure. He's wearing his donut collar, his UFO collar, to protect him from scratching himself right now. He says he'd like to include his column where he can write about the things that he's been chewing around the house, which toys from my little kids' rooms he's been biting on and chewing on, whose socks he stole and destroyed. So he said he would really think that you would like that in the morning newsletter. So if you'd like to subscribe to the Morning Invest newsletter and watch us every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, I would love to have you here as part of our community. So you can subscribe right there at morninginvest.com. Thank you for being a great part of our community, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and be safe out there, everyone. It's getting crazy. Please be safe, okay? Have a great weekend, everyone. Much love to all of you.